Minister. We're extremely delighted and honored that Dr. Khatiwada could join us today for this plenary session. We'd also like to invite Mr. Harjinder Kang, HM Trade Commissioner for South Asia and British Deputy High Commissioner for Western India, UK, to kindly join us onto the stage. Her Excellency Hannah Singer Hamdi, UN Resident Coordinator in Nepal. Mr. Faris Haddad Zervos, Country Director, Maldives, Nepal and Sri Lanka. Please. We'd like to request our delegates to kindly be careful while climbing onto the stage. It is slightly elevated on top. May I please also invite Mr. Martin Holtman, Country Manager for Bangladesh, Bhutan and Nepal, IFC. Mr. Tidain Kinda, IMF Mission Chief for Nepal. We'd also like to invite onto the stage Mr. Ren Xingwen, Deputy Secretary General, Sichuan Province, People's Republic of China. We'd also like to invite onto the stage Dr. Rajiv Singh, Director General, Indian Chamber of Commerce. May I also please invite Mr. Umesh Prasad Singh, President, Federation of Nepal Cottage and Small Industries, President of Federation of Nepal Cottage and Small Industries, Mr. Umesh Prasad Singh. We'd also like to invite onto the stage Ms. Shobha Gewali, President of FWIN, Federation of Women Entrepreneurs Association of Nepal. And a big round of applause and thank you to our session chair, Honorable Minister of Finance, Government of Nepal, Barshaman Pun, for joining us as the session chair in the first plenary session of Nepal Investment Summit 2024. Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, the distinguished guests from the public and private sector, esteemed investors, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great honor and excitement that I, Sadiksha Shrestha, welcome you to the first plenary session of Nepal Investment Summit 2024. As we gather here today, we are privileged to host esteemed delegates from around the globe, united in our shared commitment to explore the vast investment opportunities that Nepal has to offer. From renewable energy projects to infrastructure initiatives, tourism ventures to agribusiness opportunities, Nepal presents a myriad of avenues for strategic investment and fruitful partnerships. Today, ladies and gentlemen, let's embark on this journey of exploration, innovation, and collaboration as we unlock the immense potential of Nepal's economy. Once again, a warm welcome to the first plenary session. And ladies and gentlemen, may I please now request our presenter, Mr. Rameshwar Khanal, former Secretary, Government of Nepal, for his insightful presentation.
Honorable Finance Minister and Chairperson of this session, distinguished speakers, including former finance ministers, distinguished delegates to this investment summit. Well, much has been said on the investment potential in Nepal in the inaugural ceremony by different speakers. So I'll not repeat them. I will briefly discuss about the issues that are relevant to investment opportunities and harnessing investment opportunities. In terms of Nepal's geography, Nepal is surrounded by three sides, surrounded on three sides by India, and on one side by China. Nepal shares 1,690 kilometers of land border with India, and 1,236 kilometers of land border with China. The country is divided into 7 provinces and 77 districts and 753 municipalities. The total cultivated land is 2.2 million hectares, out of which 78% is devoted to temporary crops, mostly paddy. And on the permanent plantations, it is mostly oranges, mangoes, banana. There are distinct three three ecological regions, Tarai occupying 17%, plains, hilly region 64%. Most of the population is in Tarai region and hilly region. Mountain region is least populated with 19% of the area. And 23.39% of the area is a protected area. So in terms of the connectivity, which is very important for the investments, Nepal has 27 custom checkpoints with India and nine main customs with China, out of which only 2 are operational for large cargoes. There are 2 dry ports and 3 international ports for air cargo. Nepal has a transit treaty with China and also India. But Nepal has not been able to take advantage of the Chinese seaports. Nepal also has MOU with Bangladesh for using the seaports of Bangladesh. The nearest distance to the seaport is 706 kilometers, that's Kolkata. But most of the cargo for Nepal comes from either Haldia or Visakhapatnam. Government is very mindful of the need for development of trade logistics. Trade logistics policy has recently been approved by the Parliament, by the Cabinet, and government is preparing trade logistics master plan, which is basically focused on improvement of ICPs, customs checkpoints, and inland supply chain. 3 of the important checkpoints, as Indian Ambassador in the opening session said, that is already fully operational through the Indian government support. The population of 29.2 million, 65.2% is of working age. So this is the highest demographic dividend in 8 decades of farmer census taking. So Nepal is in the peak of demographic dividend. Population is growing at 0.92%, which is very low, and over 2 million population is always out of the country, either for jobs or for studies. Nearly 100,000 young people leave Nepal every year for higher education abroad. Nepal's demography has huge diversity, 142 different ethnic groups and 125 different spoken languages. 65.6% of the total population is economically active. In terms of the political environment, Nepal has moved to federal system of governance. It has been 7 years and it is taking shape. It is evolving. Fiscal federalism is in place and it is working well. Government, unfortunately, in Nepal changes frequently. In spite of that, frequent change of government at the federal and the provincial level, at least in 3 issues, there is a common consensus among all large political parties. 1, higher private sector investment in all spheres of economic activities. So role of private sector as economic engine or whatever is emphasized by all major political parties. Same voice, same echoing sound. And second, need for accelerated foreign investment, foreign direct investments, because the results have been seen, and expanded regional and global integration. That is the focus of the speech made by Finance Minister and Prime Minister this morning as well. Industrial relation after 2017 has drastically improved. There has not been a single instance of industry-wide or enterprise-level strikes in the last 7 years. The youths which are going out for either jobs or for higher education currently can be considered as a skills or brain drain, but for the future I consider this as a good working force with the global workplace good practices, enhanced skills for the future investment in Nepal. And government also has the schemes for skill development aimed at the needs of the private sector. Government works with the private sector in developing these skills required for the investments of the private sector. Social safety net is something where Nepal has done very strongly in the past. Nearly 5% of GDP is spent every year by government as part of public expenditure in different kinds of social security schemes. Old age allowance is available for people above 68 years of age. And for all workers, formal or informal, since 2018, contribution-based social security scheme is operational. So this has been really good in terms of creating a better business environment. And Nepal has a system of reviewing minimum wage every 2 years with the engagement of the private sector. There is a tripartite mechanism where private sector is also involved. The growth performance over the last 10 years, the long-run growth performance of Nepal also has been very dismal, less than 4%. Last 10 years, of course, it is in 4.3%. But look at the scenario. During this period, there was earthquake, there was economic problems, there was a COVID-19 pandemic, but the resilience of Nepali growth story is remarkable. So in spite of all these shocks, economy went negative only once during the last 10 years. The external sector stability is very important for any foreign investor because they want to ensure, they want to see that their investments can be taken back. So Nepal has always been focusing on the stability of the external sector. And if you look at the foreign exchange reserve in the last 8 years, since August 2016 to 2024, the foreign exchange reserve has never gone down below 6.6 months of imports of goods and services sufficiency. So this is a good practice that Nepal government and this monetary authority has been doing. Government revenue is consistently increasing. This indicates the power of the government to sustain the social safety spending and also carry out the capital spending that is necessary to supplement to the private sector infrastructure investment. Public debt as a percentage of GDP has been continuously low at the height in 2000. It was in 1970. 75, 76 or so, it is in Nepali calendar year. So 66.8%. Since then, it has been rationalized. Government is very prudent in borrowing, and currently the borrowing is around 43% of GDP. The foreign borrowing is less than 22%. And the law restricts government to recklessly borrow. There is a restriction on the foreign borrowing, which cannot go above 33% at any time. And the domestic borrowing annually cannot be more than 5.5% on the gross. So these are this provides a better framework for investors, because if the government's public financial management is very weak, that creates trouble in the economy. Financial sector is growing, and Nepal's commercial banks have good capital base. There is a problem in the microfinance and cooperative sector, but that is also a government is taking steps to correct them. And capital market, particularly equity market, is very good. Debt market is pretty underdeveloped. In terms of the past evidence of FDI, FDI has been very successful in Nepal, particularly turning around the landscape of banking, telecom, hydropower, manufacturing, mostly FMCG, cement, iron and steel, insurance, hospitality. So this has been the story since 1992. Many of the success stories will be shared with you in the next session. And more than the finance, technology transfer, and management culture transformation has prompted the domestic ventures as well to improvise. In the past 1 decade, Nepali private sector has been investing heavily in hydropower development, cement production, in tourism industries, FMCG products, woolen products, agro-processing. So these are the areas where Nepali industries see scope. The investment potential, investment sectors was highlighted very well in the speeches made by distinguished personalities in the inaugural session, so I will not spend much time here. But agriculture and forest-based resources, so industries using these resources has a huge possibility, because Nepal has diverse ecology, so Nepal can produce anything that is produced in the world. So government is promoting commercial farming, specialization. So government has plans to work with private sector in developing the agricultural value chain, agricultural supply chain, and forestry value chain. Mines and minerals, cement is a success story, but there's a glut now, there's overproduction. So more than cement, there are other minerals which can be explored, and mineral processing is another possibility. Iron processing is currently happening under the leadership of government. Energy, not only hydropower, currently about 18,000 megawatt of hydropower are in different stages of development. Some survey, some construction, some completed. So altogether, 3,000 plus megawatt is already under production, 9,600 megawatt currently under construction. But there is a prospect in solar and wind which has not been explored yet. There's a huge possibility. Nepal has sunrise all through the year. Manufacturing linked particularly to the value chain of South Asia and China. So Nepal has been constructing special economic zones along the Indian border and also in the north, which can be used for connecting to value chain industries in China and the South Asia. Hospitality industry, particularly the hotels and other tourism-related industries, is a huge possibility which has been highlighted by many speakers, so I will not dwell much. In the case of the education, in the past there was foreign direct investment, particularly medical education has a turnaround in Nepal because of the foreign direct investment. So in the future, I think the opportunity for investment in advanced technical education and advanced research could be a promising area. In banking and finance, the development of a commercial bank in Nepal is because of FDI initially, so which has made Nepal's commercial bank very robust. But in future, I think private equity funds, innovative financial institutions are a possibility where Nepal provides a scope. ICT, there's huge scope, which I don't need to emphasize. Health, specialty medical services, wellness services, and all those things, targeting particularly foreigners in tourist areas. And these are the areas in which you can look for opportunities. In terms of the policy institutions support system, I'll briefly discuss. Nepal grants national treatment to all foreign investors. There has not been a single instance of expropriation in the past, and government is committed to protecting the ownership, which Honorable PM also reiterated this morning. Repatriation has does not have any restrictions. Government is mindful of some procedural delays. There are some delays, and constantly improvising to make repatriation hassle-free. Government also has a mechanism of a regular consultation with private sector. This summit itself is a collaboration with the private sector. Geopolitics is both an opportunity and challenge for Nepal, which can also definitely affect the foreign investors. In conclusion, I'd like to summarize that because of the commitment from the highest level of the government, consensus among all political parties on the need for accelerated foreign investments, availability of skilled labor and democratic advantage of Nepal, proximity to two large markets in the neighborhood, strong domestic source of energy, and a variety of natural resources, Nepal is a good investment destination. Examine the opportunities and make the decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Khanal, for the bird's eye view on Nepal's current economy and the potential it possesses. I would now like to invite Honorable Dr. Prakash Sharma, former Finance Minister and Member of Parliament, for his perspective on navigating opportunities within our dynamic economic framework.
For asking me to put some of the ideas regarding investment opportunities in Nepal. Nepal has immense opportunities because our physical development, material development is still underdeveloped. Therefore, there is a scope for huge opportunities for investors, those who are Nepalis or those who are participating from abroad. Because of these opportunities, I think there is a tremendous scope for good return as well. Those who have invested in Nepal, they have made good return. Although there are doubts among many potential investors, Nepal don't have political stability, governmental stability. These things may come to your mind. That is quite natural. But I will assure you, even though we are in opposition, but we are together when it comes to importance of foreign investment for the growth and development of Nepal. I myself was finance minister when I initiated this third investment summit in Nepal. Right now, I'm not in that position, but my position in terms of investment potential in Nepal has not changed. It is same because potential is there, untapped potential is there. And Nepal is also great to live in and work in. I have seen people, whether at the diplomatic level or those who are working through multilateral agencies, they want to repeat, they want to stay longer because Nepal and Nepali people are very friendly people. And even though we have huge diversity in terms of language, in terms of topography, in terms of wildlife, in terms of flora and fauna, but we are united with a purpose. We may have political differences. We had insurgency that was based on political lines. But we live in harmony. We have varied cultural and religious background, languages background, but we never quarrel over it. So this is the best place to be in. That is why I urge all of you to invest in Nepal. There are several opportunities. We have great opportunities to invest in hydropower. We have ecosystem of hydropower investor developers within Nepal. So they can be a very good partners for those who are coming from outside with the intention to invest. The local investor can navigate you. We have all the laws in place. Since 1990, when we had a democratic changes and Nepali Congress Party was in government, it initiated series of reform, liberal economic policy, and several laws and bylaws which is up to a standard, international standard, came into existence. But later on, because of the insurgency and political instability, the first phase of investment based on those laws could not continue. But now we have political stability in terms of constitution, in terms of laws. We have same opinion whether we are in government or outside in terms of inviting investors to invest in Nepal. And lately, when I became finance minister, we initiated second series of economic reforms to make it more attractive for investment. We are working towards tax reforms. High-level tax reform commission has already submitted report. I believe that present government will follow their recommendation. At the same time, we have initiated several changes in laws to make it more, more investment friendly. I think that is also going to be passed very soon by the parliament. So that was actually done with the participation of Nepali private sector. So they also endorse those legal reform that is required to bring more investment, whether from abroad or from inside Nepal. So what I'm trying to say is there is a tremendous opportunities that lays ahead, and we urge you to take those opportunities. As far as areas of investment potential is concerned, hydropower has a big potential. India has already decided to buy up to 10,000 megawatt of electricity. Bangladesh is willing to do the same. So because of that, you have assured market, not only domestic market, but access energy for to export to India and Bangladesh. Therefore, hydropower is one important sector. At the same time, tourism is a big sector. It has a big potential. We are not even able to, materialize fraction of tourism potential in Nepal. We have such a wonderful topography. We have 25% of our land flat from east to west, adjoining to India. And the middle, you have hills and valleys, beautiful valleys and hills and high mountains towards Tibet. So whatever things that visitor wanted to see, they have it. They want to go to mountains, high mountains, they have it. They want to explore, they want to trek in the middle heat, they have it. They want to have a cold temperature, they have it. They want to have a hot or mild temperature, they have it. They have everything. And you have huge cultural diversity. So you can move from one part of Nepal to another part, you'll have a different kind of food, different kind of dresses, different kind of looks. Sometimes you may find, is this Nepali? Yes, of course. We have all kind of looks and all the different cultures, so to explore. And we have wildlife. People often think it's high mountain countries. How come rhinos and tigers? We have it. We have big national park. And now, green growth. Our now forest cover is almost 45%. And it's still increasing. We care about nature, our culture, religion. We worship. We think trees are important to us. Animals are important to us. People should coexist with nature. That is our, way of life. So because of that, when we are talking about carbon emission, climate change, we have done everything right from the perspective of to reduce this carbon emission. We hardly have one. From that perspective also, I think world need to invest in Nepal, especially to support green development. And we are doing it with our own limited resources. So I think you have to do it. You have to invest in Nepal from that perspective as well. We have great opportunity and in agro-based, forest-based investment. We have, because varied topography, you can grow anything under the earth, be it fruits, be it vegetables, be it trees, coffee, and many other varieties of things that you want to grow. What is required is we need to have a bigger investment, not based on individual little bit investment that we make, which is not commercially viable. So we want bigger investment, commercial-based investment. And Nepal can be a best place for organic production. Organic production is the future. Green economy is the future. So organic production, from that perspective also Nepal can be a hub. Those who are looking to invest in agri-based industries, agriculture production based on new technology, you are welcome to invest in Nepal, and Nepal is the best place to invest. Another important sector I see is IT. Nepali are now everywhere. They are doing good wherever they go. They are looking for opportunities right here in Nepal. They have all the talents, all the education, but they want to use that talent, skills right here in Nepal. And with your investment in IT sector, after COVID, what our youth had done, because they see they can't do anything, they cannot go out. So they started exploring using their computers. Now it is the fastest growing sector in Nepal, IT sector. Therefore, in my last budget, I gave 50% less taxes on IT, those who work in IT, those who invest in IT. You don't even need minimum, required capital, whether foreigner or local, to invest in IT sector. Now we are exporting close to, 100 billion Nepali rupees worth of software outside the country. So if those who have interest in IT, they can invest in a big way in Nepal. They can open center in Nepal. And we have all the talents. They will love to work right here in Nepal with less taxes than going abroad with high, expenses, living expenses, with high taxes. Rather, they would work right here if that kind of opportunity can be extended. Therefore, all these opportunities are there, but this fourth sector is not only, there are other opportunities also. There are huge opportunities lying in manufacturing sector also, because still we have in a lot of areas, we are not self-sufficient. You don't have to look outside to export. You can, you can produce and Nepali will buy. Because in a lot of area, still we are not self-sufficient. So in many areas, in manufacturing areas also, you can invest in Nepal. Therefore, at the end, what I will urge present government is, we are for investment, whether from Nepali diaspora or Nepali or foreigners. We will support it. We urge government to make sure that whatever policy that we have initiated, don't deviate from that. I believe they can't afford to deviate from those policies. So, liberal investment climate, liberal investment laws is the only way to go forward. That is how we can grow. Nepali economy will grow, more employment opportunity will be available right here in Nepal. So that is how, Nepal also can be one country which is on par with many other countries who are already at the top level of the economy. All the potential is there. We have all the ingredients for higher growth. Only thing lacking is probably consistency in our approach, consistency in our work, and seriously pursuing our goal. That is what we should be doing that, and I believe collectively we'll do it. Government can come and go, but investment should continue to come.
Thank you very much.
Investors should feel comfortable.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Whichever government is coming to Nepal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Dr. Prakash Armad, for shedding light on the favorable policies and the optimistic outlook for possibilities of investment in Nepal. We'd also like to kindly welcome Mr. Ashok Chaturvedi, Chairman and Managing Director of UFlex Group, to kindly join us onto the stage as well. Thank you very much, sir, for your presence and participation here in the first plenary session of Nepal Investment Summit 2024. As we move forward, also due to the time constraint, may I please request all further speakers to kindly limit their remarks within 5 minutes. And with great pleasure, I would now like to invite Honorable Dr. Swarnim Wagle, Member of Parliament, whose profound expertise in economics and his dedication to the advancement of Nepal's economic prosperity has made him invaluable today.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, Excellencies, distinguished guests. We've been given 5 minutes, so it's hard to cover all the terrain that I would like to traverse. But let me cover 2 parts, the international landscape and the Nepali rationale. Now, 15 years ago, I had the honor of co-leading a pioneering global study called the Investing Across Borders that analyzed FDI regulations across 100 economies. The conventional mantra then was just foster the investment climate. So this touched on openness, rule of law, ensuring private property, contract enforcement, no expropriation of private property, etc. And then basic human and physical infrastructure, and ensure reasonable transaction costs, the legitimate kind that comes through remoteness or macro instability, and also the illegitimate kind that comes through bad governance and corruption. Now, this was not helpful. This was not at all helpful, and this was realized even within the IFIs. And because the logical lesson of all this was to attract more investment, you need to be like a country that already attracts a lot of investment. So from a policymaker's perspective, this was not helpful. So this led to a more second-best kind of analysis where we dive deep into FDI-specific regulations. And this is where we came up with a universal corpus of policy concern. So this involved, how open are you to foreign equity participation in sectors like light manufacturing, which was almost 100% open in almost all countries, tourism, banking, insurance, and then there was a whole continuum leading to more illiberal sectors, including the media and even transportation, particularly aviation sectors. So foreign equity openness was paramount. Then came regulations to setting up foreign subsidiaries. So this is like the foreign counterpart to what we're all familiar with in the form of the doing business indicators that tracked procedures and number of days that it took to formalize a domestic entity within the borders, right? And also leasing of industrial land, etc. The third, perhaps very important topic was often under-discussed, was arbitration of commercial disputes. Is there a special statute for commercial arbitration? How long does it take to enforce an arbitration award? So this is of paramount concern to many foreign investors. The fourth was converting and transferring currency. So this was very important. And finally, recruitment of skilled expatriates. In Nepal, one hears that this remains a big issue. But all this, FDI-specific regulations is still not enough. It is necessary, but not sufficient. So this is where country attributes come into the picture. So if you are India, if you are China, if you are Brazil, if you are South Africa, you can afford to get away with deep, meaningful reforms because you compensate that with a large domestic market. But if you are a Nepal or a Singapore or a Poland or a Jordan, then you need to marry these reforms with country-specific attributes. So this is where the labor quality, the market size, growth potentials, your strategic location, and other links. So it could be contiguity with larger markets, it could be colonial ties, it could be common language, it could be currency, it could be diasporic engagements, etc. So against this backdrop of what we know in the academic and the policy literature, where does Nepal stand? I think we have 3 Ds to offer. The first one is demography. We're the oldest nation state in South Asia, but the youngest country in the region, with the median age being 25, a young, trainable labor force, tens of millions of whom are now abroad. But they can be tempted back if we get the economy going and investment going, and if they can be sufficiently incentivized. So demography, I think, is a big draw. Second is distance, our proximity to both India and China, and the new geopolitical imperatives that Rameswarji touched on, I think, is very important. And with this comes the issue of, how big a pie are we talking about? The quantum of finance, the source of investment, and the markets that we're talking about. Now, there's a striking statistics when it comes to FDI flows. In the year 2000, the first peak in the current era of, the latest era of globalization, FDI inflows peaked at about $1.4 trillion globally. But the share of developing countries, including India and China at the time, was roughly $220 billion. Now, we reached a high of about $2 trillion in FDI inflows in 2015. Just before the global financial crisis, it was 1.9 trillion. And after COVID, this has dipped to about the same level that it had reached 22 years ago. So that's $1.4 trillion. But now, the share of developing countries in that overall global pie is almost $1 trillion. So the financial landscape has also evolved. So this is the second D. The quantum of finance, source of investment, and markets, allied with the fact that we share contiguous borders with both these large economies. Third is decarbonization. Now, the mantra here has been, all paths to net zero. And this was put memorably by a columnist in the New York Times, that we need to make electricity clean. We need to produce much more clean electricity, and we need to make almost everything run on clean electricity. This is it. This is the simplest of mantras leading to net zero paths. And here, I think Nepal is very well placed, as has been highlighted already by previous speakers. Now, what areas to look into? There's the domestic wing and there's the foreign arm. Within the internal realm, I think the pace of urbanization, the growth of our cities, the massive internal and external migration, and the critical financing deficit in infrastructure, the logistics policy was mentioned. There's so much to be done within the Nepali borders. But something of concern to LDCs like us is, can we attract foreign investment that also connects us with foreign markets? Right? So it's not just the funds that flow in, but do you come with technology that is adaptable, that is borrowable, but do you also bring your market with your investment. And this is where I think clean energy and green reindustrialization, there's a massive potential, but green reindustrialization that is tied, that is allied with the global and regional value chain. So this is very important. Second, products that can be branded with the Nepali brand. So this is high-value agriculture. We're seeing some glimmers of hope in tea, in cardamom, in ginger, in honey, etc. But this ought to be scaled much wider. But an area that excites me greatly is digitalization. As a landlocked country, all the other shipping-dependent trade really penalized us. This is one area which negates those traditional handicaps for us. And I'm a pro bono chairman of an institute that led a landmark study a year ago on quantifying how many freelance digitalization workers are active in Nepal and what is the aggregate inflow of foreign earnings through these activities. And it's massive. It's almost, even a most conservative estimate is that it's half of official merchandise exports right now, but many colleagues in the industry tell us that it's actually 3 times larger than that. So just in 2020, 67,000 young freelancers brought in over $300 million. There are tech companies crossing the chasm from service to product now. And there's amazing fintech entrepreneurs active right here in Kathmandu. Recently, one of our friends launched the world's first borderless neobank connecting the United States and Nepal. The global security companies valued at over $100 million operating right here in Balwatar. There are global analytics companies, global health companies, and global AI company that is about to go public on NASDAQ in New York. So this is an exciting terrain that ought to tempt many forward-looking investors. Now, what ought policymakers to do then? And I conclude with this. I think first, we project a national vision, prioritize sectors. Economists in the room will note that the discussions around industrial policy have been discredited. Now it's again coming back in favor, particularly with the United States, President Biden leading many legislative achievements, the Investment, Infrastructure and Jobs Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, and the CHIPS, the Semiconductor Revival, cumulatively worth about $2 trillion. And this has been mimicked by all other OECD countries. So the stuff that we read in the 90s and the 2000s about how horrible industrial policy used to be is again gaining favor. This is where countries like Nepal would also, with the understanding of our major donor partners, to also really focus on targeted sectors to overcome market and coordination failures. Second is this need to signal to investors constantly. This is a never-ending process, and this is where I welcome and I commend the Minister of Finance for issuing new amendments to the Industrial Enterprises Act, to the Foreign Investment Act, to the Special Economic Zones Act, to the E-Commerce Act, to the Civil Aviation Act, forests, land acquisition, parks, and environment. But the trouble in Nepal is how we execute this, and I hope we would be able to show improvements there. And finally, when it comes to foreign investment, nothing beats that pioneer, that anchor investor who comes in and really leads the way for others to follow. So I'm talking about Intel in Costa Rica, Intel in Vietnam, that really led the way for 200 other firms. If your country is good enough for Intel, it's good enough for me. So that logic, I think, is really important to follow. But there are other strategic initiatives. So in the case of Nepal, of course, Make in India, rise of China, etc. are there that I've alluded to. But the duty-free, quota-free facilities that we had as an LDC, Bangladesh made fantastic use of that. We couldn't because of our own internal problems. Given the transition periods, etc., there's a generous period that we can take advantage of, but sequel to LDC graduation, there are country-specific trade and investment treaties that we need to work on with the EU, with the US, ASEAN, Japan, Korea, etc. But it's that kind of country-to-country specific ties, and investors attracted and tempted from those particular markets that will do the trick when it comes to anchor investment. So let me stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dr. Wagle. I would now like to extend a warm welcome to Dr. Yuvraj Khatiwada, former Finance Minister for the Government of Nepal, for his remarks in this August gathering of the first plenary session of Nepal Investment Summit 2024, exploring investment opportunities in Nepal.
Thank you. Honorable Chair of the session, Finance Minister, members of the Parliament, including former Finance Minister, distinguished speakers in the panel, Excellencies, senior officials of the government, my friends, nice to be here back. I do remember 5 years ago when I was at the role of the current finance minister talking about investment summit. I have become a bit nostalgic today to find so many of the colleagues around and still looking for some more investment from your side. We have listened a lot, we have heard a lot from this very morning in the inaugural session and also from the speakers right now. As the finance minister has to work for action, I am here and we are here to show solidarity on what our government wants to do for enabling business environment to foreign investors. So, when I recall the previous Invest Summit, I am a bit sad to recall my friend Safar Hadwiz, who was the Vice President of the World Bank, whose demise makes me a bit sorry to say so. And of course, I do remember the contribution of World Bank then and my friend Paris, who is still here today after 5 years. Thank you for surviving for 5 years in this country. There are so many other colleagues I would like to recall who made the second investment summit a success. But immediately after COVID, immediately after the summit, we have the problem of COVID. We could not carry on our reforms. Several of the reforms were sidelined because of our priority to save lives, and then perhaps the change of the government, and then new election, and so on and so forth. But having said that, I must say that the momentum for foreign investment hasn't changed. We keep the momentum ongoing, and I think it's time that we reinvigorate the whole process of inviting more investment. I would like to put on some of the issues related to business environment. I'm not an expert on projects. I can talk about broad areas of investment, and which has been repeated time and again. So I'm not repeating them again. So what is the business environment in this country, and what do we assure as an ecosystem for the investors? First, we are an open democracy, a secular country. We have one of the most practiced political system in the world. That's democracy with separation of power, independent judiciary, rule of law. I think as a country with rule of law and also separation of power between the parliament, executive, and the judiciary, I think that provides a good environment for investors to make investment in Nepal. Besides, the legal and regulatory reforms are ongoing process. We just had today the President's seal for 9 laws to be amended through some specific act. So we are having these reforms as an ongoing process, and with your feedback and suggestions, I think government has the appetite to do more in this area in terms of making regulatory and legal environment more conducive for business entities. The physical infrastructure, often said it is a bottleneck for development. Yes, it used to be. We used to have huge power shortage when I was the coordinator of the second investment summit. Now, it is not a serious issue. Oftentimes, we do have power shortage, but this is a very temporary issue. Our road and air connection is much better than 5 years before. Our IT connectivity is much better than 5 years before. And I would say that we have been more pragmatic in terms of planning and budgeting, and also creating legal environment for doing business. So over time, we have learned a lot as to what makes investment possible in this country. One study from National Planning Commission shows that in some of the infrastructure areas like manufacturing, transportation, infrastructure investment gaps, which we see for the next 7 years if we have to achieve the SDGs. Needless to mention that we have settled down the industrial disputes, and our industrial relation is much better now with so many laws protecting the rights of the workers and also having a good relation between employer and the employees. The governance, investment governance. I think this morning we listened a lot about one-stop services from IBN and also from the Ministry of Industry. We also learned many things about IT-based governance services. And I would add some more things into that is related to our accounting and auditing standards, which are IFRS-based system. And then I think we can make our balance sheet compatible with the global accounting and auditing standards. That's one way to think about making business in Nepal globally compatible. And we are strictly following the global norms of social and environmental safeguards. So it's not a country that you can do anything. There are norms, there are standards, there are codes, and there are legal provisions to see that the social and environmental safeguards are in place. This is basically with the help of our multilateral agencies that we have been able to put many things in place. Nepal's taxation system, also heard this morning, this is one of the scientific taxation systems in the world. The value-added tax is in good shape. The income tax and others. We have left little room for discretion in our tax system. It is rule-based. Except for some of the minor hitches in our tax system, there is not much issue left in our tax system. If there are any issues, we have dispute settlement mechanism in taxation through institutional and legal mechanism. We have also done several agreements in terms of dual taxation avoidance treaty. Nepal is also intending to do more kind of agreements on BIPA, that is Bilateral Investment Protection Agreement. I hope our finance minister will take up some more such agenda forward. And then we are member of WTO and SAFTA, means that we follow certain tariff rules and trade norms which are globally acceptable. The financial market, of course, is depending. If you want to have a long-term loan, banks are fully capitalized. If you want to raise money through equity in the stock market, I don't think it should be a problem for the middle-sized companies. And finally, no developing country is perfect in investment governance. We are evolving. We may have weaknesses. We may have limitations. But investment summits like this, they pave way as to what government should be doing further and what are the areas of further improvement to attract more investment in this country. So this summit must be successful in terms of getting feedback from your side, exploring new areas of investment, and making the government to work even harder to ease the environment of doing business in this country. I extend my best wishes for the success of this summit. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khatiwada, for emphasizing the crucial role that Nepal Investment Summit has and for highlighting the positive aspects of the business environment in Nepal. May I please now request Mr. Harjinder Kang, HM Trade Commissioner for South Asia and British Deputy High Commissioner for Western India, UK, for his remarks in this first plenary session of Nepal Investment Summit 2024.
Honourable Finance Minister, my fellow panellists, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute pleasure and honour to be here at this Nepal Investment Summit 2024. It's absolutely wonderful to see what's happening here. You will have heard my title, which says, His Majesty's Trade Commissioner to South Asia. And obviously Nepal is under the South Asia remit. And quite honestly, it's a pleasure to actually make my first visit to Nepal for this auspicious occasion. And quite honestly, a big thank you to the government of Nepal to invite me to this landmark event. It is an absolute signpost in Nepal's economic development. Investment treaties and investor protection is absolutely critical, because if you look at the investor base, they balance two things: opportunity with risk. And so if those two things are out of alignment, it becomes an issue for people to think about investing in parts of the world. Now, this is not about India, this is actually about Nepal. So let me bring you back to our relationship. UK and Nepal have been long-term friends. It's no surprise to hear that, I'm sure. But do you know how long? I mean, our first diplomatic relations were established in 1816, in case you didn't know. And last year, some of you in this room will have celebrated 100 years of our bilateral treaty of friendship, which is an amazing signal of our strengths and bonds between the two countries. And that sort of has set us on a path as a treaty to create a modern relationship which is based on economic, trade, and investment relations. And those sort of long-term relationships are what confidence is built on. The first wave of UK investment was all about tourism, which began in the late 70s and continues today. I actually heard the number of million tourists have started to arrive post-COVID pandemic. A lot of those will be UK visitors, I will hazard to guess. And Nepal is definitely on the list of most people's wish lists when they look at somewhere to visit. Now, during the last sort of 70 years, Nepal has been on the hit list of places to invest. And so you might be, you might want to hear that about 100 million of direct FDI has actually poured into Nepal from the UK in various sectors, whether it's tourism and hospitality, renewable energy, light manufacturing, and IT. And IT has been talked about a lot in the last few hours, and I can understand why the excitement's there. But more recently, the British International Investment Organisation, this is the UK's development financial institution, spearheaded new investment of £125 million plus, and is committed to actually invest even more. The Department of Business and Trade, which is my home department back in the United Kingdom, has been very actively engaged in Nepal, and specifically around initiatives on clean growth, renewable energy, and so forth. They underscored our joint initiatives to improve the business and regulatory environment, specifically in areas like renewable energy and infrastructure, which will facilitate the FDI that everybody wants. On the bilateral trade front, the UK is among Nepal's top 5 export destinations, both in goods and services. And we had something like £250 million pounds worth of trade between the two nations in the current fiscal year. We have some of our major companies already here, Diageo, JCB, Body Shop, Smith's Detection, just to name a few. There are others. And obviously they've created a strong presence here. And when you have, like was mentioned earlier, anchor companies that show confidence here, that then spreads back in the UK to say Nepal is actually a good place to do business. And other companies, such as Standard Chartered and Unilever, the flag bearers of corporate UK, are also very successfully inputting FDI into Nepal. We see tremendous opportunity for British investment in many, many sectors. A lot of it's already been talked through, so I won't dwell on it, but there are a few that haven't been mentioned. Certainly education skills and fintech, I think, are two key areas that could be something we look at as two partner countries to see how we can develop our organisation there. The one thing that has come up a couple of times, and I think I need to reinforce it, and if you are looking at Nepal as a serious place to do business, then one of the things that companies look for, and I have a corporate background rather than a diplomatic background, is you want certainty, and you want to know where you're investing has a long-term certainty to it. And so something like a transparent and predictable tax system is actually something that goes down very, very well in large corporations when they're looking at where to invest for their future growth. Last year, you will have remembered, we had an investment conference, a London investment conference, which was organised by the Nepalese embassy. And during that conference, our UK Minister, Minister Trevelyan, who you saw earlier, identified the importance of FDI for economic growth, along with the Finance Minister of Nepal. And they looked at, hydro as an opportunity, IT as an opportunity, just as has been mentioned along the way. Now, the UK plays a consistent role in underpinning the Nepalese economy. We support it in many, many ways, including infrastructure through multilateral and bilateral channels. We do it through the British people, and we do it through the tourism that they generate, which has now come back to post-pre-COVID levels. And I'll end with a few positive notes that you need to be aware of too. We are on the roof of the world in Nepal. You just showed me it was all about mountains, and we are at an altitude here. But that basically says that the sky's the limit. We have so much headroom to do things. And one of the things that we have as an offering is that there's a UK export finance capability, which is our export credit agency. There is a 2 billion market capacity that they offer, so that in all the large projects like sustainable finance, green projects, etc., they are all available for this credit agency. Their priority sectors, specifically in Nepal, agriculture, renewable energy, healthcare, transport infrastructure, airports and power. All the things that you're wanting to talk about during this conference. So they can provide up to 95% of financing for sovereign-led projects, which can also be supported through private entities. But the minimum sort of size is £2 to £3 million per project upwards. So effectively, a superb opportunity for investors to look at credit reference agencies to support. Since I've invoked the Himalayas, let me end by putting on my trekking boots and to say the UK is Nepal's oldest travelling companion. We will accompany you, whichever route you take, but we are delighted that this summit will be actually signalling a faster route to development and prosperity. So onwards and upwards, lead on. Have a wonderful conference.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kang. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to invite Mr. Faris Haddad-Zervos, Country Director, Maldives, Nepal and Sri Lanka at the World Bank Group, which has also been a long champion in facilitating investment and economic growth in Nepal.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today with you. I want to start by first responding to my dear friend, His Excellency, the ex-Minister of Finance, Dr. Yubaraj Katiwada. And indeed, I recall it was actually working together with our development partners a few years ago that we had the first investment summit. And it's great to be here at the third investment summit and to take stock of the Delta and where we've done that. And Dr. Yubaraj, it actually wasn't 5 years, it was 6. I've been here for 6 years now. And it wasn't surviving in Nepal for 5 years, but it was thriving in Nepal for 6 years. Thriving because over this time I've grown and I've learned a lot thanks to the beautiful country. So I also want to start by following what Dr. Katiwada said, and it was very important because I want to set the tone of what we're about to say, and that is Nepal is evolving. We need to look at the track, we need to look at the evolution, and there is a path forward. There is a delta moving forward, and there is a frontier and a potential that is vast. So as part of the World Bank, what I will do is share a little bit of some of the findings of our analytical work to give you a backdrop of where we are now, where we could be, where we should be, and where we'll be going together. I don't think I need to tell anybody of the importance of the private sector investment to unlock Nepal's economic potential. Whether domestic or private sector and domestic private sector or foreign direct investment, they're both drivers of economic progress, job creation, infrastructure development and productivity. And most importantly, they help Nepal achieve realize the aspirations of its people. And Nepal, I want to share, is a country where the private sector is not it's indigenous and endogenous to the Nepali mentality. It's not something that is foreign that needs to be injected. If you look at the numbers at first glance, the private sector actually contributes around 80% of the country's GDP and provides over 5 million jobs, which is 80% of the total workforce. Now, if you look at the numbers and you decompose them, it's mostly 80% is basically what is left over after the 20% of the public sector, because there continues to be quite a bit of informality. There continues to be firms that are not able to grow, etc. So the point I want to make here is a positive one, and that is the private sector approach, the mentality is very much weaved into the Nepali fabric, and this is important. The other thing I want to say is that, as you can see, and this is one of the reasons why we're here, Nepal is actually, the government of Nepal is showing and very, very much so, revealing its intent to address this issue. As Dr. Katiwada said, and their excellencies have said, it's an evolving process. It's a path moving forward. But they've done that. Nepal is now preparing the 16th National Development Plan that prioritizes private investment. That's important. We have to remember, however, that the 15th Development Plan aimed to increase the share of FDI from 0.5% of GDP to 3% of GDP in fiscal year 24, and this was not met. And the challenge here is not intent, is what happens on a Monday morning. What happens in terms of executing these, thinking across boundaries, thinking across institutions to make this happen, and I'll get to this point shortly. The other signal of clear intent is that Nepal has been improving the legal and regulatory environment. And we've heard, and we very much welcome this and really congratulate the government about the Cabinet's recent introduction of amendments to 9 laws through an ordinance to facilitate private investments. This is really important to deepen reforms. And as we move forward, execution and continued very strong consultation with the private sector and the substance and the intent of these reforms is going to be really, really important, because ultimately they're the ones who are going to be able to drive this change. This is very important. We in the World Bank Group, and I know my friend and colleague Martin Holtman from the IFC will speak now shortly. We're very happy to have supported some of these things, including the reduction of the minimum foreign investment requirement from 50 million Nepali rupees to 20 million Nepali rupees. Also setting up, helping the government set up an automatic approval process for investments up to 500 million Nepali rupees in certain sectors. So again, evolution and things are moving forward. We've also seen the impact of this on FDI. In the first 7 months of fiscal year 24, and I believe my VP also mentioned that in the opening session, FDI inflows increased from 22 million to 40 million in the same period last year, driven by hydropower and manufacturing sectors, which accumulated for 60%. Now again, a positive change, a positive evolution, but we want to see much bigger numbers. And this is why we're all here, working together to get to numbers that I'm aspirational enough to think of at some point, if you look at some comparators, even up to 7% of GDP. Nepal can do this. Indeed, friends, Nepal offers huge investment opportunities, particularly in hydropower, which is self-evident, tourism, agribusiness, and the digital IT sectors. And I won't speak at length because my others have been speaking about it. It's interesting that the tourism sector contributes almost 7% of GDP and generates over 1 million jobs. 1 million jobs. In 2023, we saw a significant boost with over 1 million visitors, marking an impressive 85% recovery from the pandemic. There are obviously many opportunities to diversify the sector, develop high-value tourism, and attract private investment in conservation-based business. There's still some policies that need to be unlocked for this to happen. In agribusiness, Nepal has a potential edge in high-value niche products such as spices, fruits, honey, medicinal herbs, tea, coffee, and cut flowers, and Ayurvedic products. It's very interesting, and bear with me, just a very short story. Many moons ago, I was the representative of the World Bank in Malaysia. And I remember at that point, Malaysia, which is a very big recipient of investment, we're paying so much money for the Malaysia Truly Asia, the mantra that was all over. They were marketing this, Malaysia Truly Asia. It's interesting that Nepal doesn't do this, doesn't need to do this. When you talk about Nepal, immediately people associate it with Everest, the birthplace of the Lord Buddha, magical monasteries. It almost seems to mop up the imagination about the region without having to advertise. Is it not time to take advantage of it? This is a branding that happens. And I think we need to take advantage of it because economies of scale are such that to compete on just a product with huge economies on either side will not be feasible. But the Nepal name is the biggest export, and we need to focus on that. And digital, of course, offers growth potential and productivity. Nepal's IT services export generated over 500 million in revenues, 70,000 jobs, and 1.4% of GDP. So you can see the vast potential here. Now, friends, I'll conclude very shortly, and thank you for listening. What we need here is, in addition to everything that was said, we need to look at this as a narrative. We need to look at it as part of a string, not just specific transaction. We need to look at this in terms of a comprehensive national investment framework that enables public-private partnerships, PPPs, creates a conducive environment for businesses, and creates platforms for dialogue with all sides. A lot of things are happening in Nepal. We need to bring them together. And this is where the challenge is as we move forward. The national investment framework should cover domestic and foreign investment, specify investment needs and targets, and translate these into specific strategies across priority sectors. And I'm very happy that we, with our development partners, have started dialogue with the government on this. Last but not least, a private sector investment in infrastructure, apart from the hydro sector, which we've talked about, urban and the real sectors like tourism and agribusiness, are still relatively limited in Nepal. And this is an area where government of Nepal can identify and leverage PPP investments and opportunities. This is an area we'll be happy to work with you on. And again, in conclusion, I want to thank His Excellency, Minister of Finance, their Excellencies, all our partners, and all of you for engaging with the World Bank Group. We're very happy to have been trusted partners, and I'm honored to say we have been trusted partners to the people and governments of Nepal, and we look forward to continuing to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Faris, for your kind remarks, and we definitely hope that the investments that come to Nepal also see the same growth and thrive as well. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to invite Her Excellency Hannah Singh Hamdi, UN Resident Coordinator in Nepal, to share her remarks, which are certain to shed light on the collaborative efforts between Nepal and the UN in harnessing investment opportunities in Nepal.
Honorable Finance Minister, former finance ministers, fellow panelists, distinguished delegates, namaste to all of you, and a wonderful afternoon to all of you. I'm sure you're all very hungry now, so we'll try to focus very quickly. So, dear delegates, I think between the presentations of this morning and today, everything has been covered. So allow me to leave you with 3 points, or as we call it, the 3 Ps: people, planet, and partnership for peace and prosperity. That is what the member states have committed to through the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And these 3 Ps, I believe, provide immense opportunities for the investment in Nepal. First, always the people. Nepal has a very young population. About 41% of Nepalis are between the ages of 16 and 40. That includes everybody here, of course, right? Everybody is young, at least at heart. These are young people with muscles and brain power, bursting with energy and innovative solutions. This unique demographic dividend is a crucial window for opportunity for Nepal that begs to be tapped with great urgency. Tapping into this demographic dividend means increasing investment in health, education, frontier technology, and digital transformation. To unlock this potential, we must invest even more in women, girls, and marginalized communities and increase their access to science, to technology, to engineering, to mathematics. It may also entail removing barriers for their access to business and employment opportunities. Removing of such barriers would also mean that will be more women represented in every sphere, including as speakers in this summit, for example. I wouldn't help but notice, and forgive me, the negligent participation of women as presenters and speakers in this meeting. So I hope for the next one we will have much more women, right? Thank you. My second point is about the planet. I need not tell you about the potentials in this fantastic country. As previous speakers highlighted, these natural resources provide fantastic investment opportunities. However, ladies and gentlemen, and colleagues and participants, we must make every effort to ensure that financial flows are used to uplift rather than undermine the environment, the biodiversity, and human lives. What these investments should do is to contribute to offset carbon, accelerate the transition to sustainable energy, and lead to a green economy. These investments should contribute to limiting the rise of the global temperature to 1.5 centigrade and help to achieve the net zero. Yes, these investments will be higher upfront due to the need for investment in frontier technologies and innovations. However, these will ensure a livable planet, not just for this generation, but for those generations who will eventually inhabit and inherit this planet. And this brings me to the third point. You still remember? We said people, the planet, and now a very critical third P, the partnership for sustainable development. Nepal can explore new blended finance approaches that can crowd in the private sector, multiply development impact, and create opportunities for public sector to share risks and reward fairly. This way, public and private finance together will help augment private investments, especially in high risk and low return areas. Multilateral development banks, development financial institutions, private development banks, and development cooperation agencies can work even closer with the private partners to leverage these resources. Now, United Nations, since I represent them, stands, like all of you, with the people of Nepal. And the world must do the same. As Nepal prepares for the LDC graduation in 2026, we will continue to work with the Investment Board, Nepal, and concerned ministries to help increase the flow of sustainable investments in the country. We will continue to support the development of a strong business ecosystem with a vision of sustainable, inclusive, and green economy. To conclude, I would like to reiterate our commitment to take our future generations into account. This need not come at the expense of those currently living. With advances in science, humanities, and technologies, we have an enormous opportunities that can be harnessed for the good of our beloved Nepal. And yes, we can, and yes, we'll do. Deri Dhanyabad.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your powerful and energizing remarks. We definitely hope to continue to strive towards our shared goals of prosperity and sustainability. It is now an honor to extend a warm invitation to Mr. Martin Holtman, Country Manager, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Nepal at the International Finance Corporation, for his remarks in this August gathering.
I'll take your mic. That's going to be a hard act to follow, so I'll muster all my energy here. And I'm standing here so you can all turn your neck the other way, otherwise you get stiff. Also, this way she can shut me up if I overstay my welcome. All right, so I'll be very short. Who is IFC? IFC is the private sector arm of the World Bank Group. We're part of the same family. We share the same accommodation, and IFC has its own balance sheet, and we have this wonderful country as Nepal as one of our shareholders. We invest at our own risk. If one of our investments goes bad, we lose it. There's no guarantee whatsoever that backs us up, unless in some cases we have, Faris just left, but we have sometimes blended finance facilities with the World Bank. We are on the Invest in Nepal team because we have been investing in this country since 1975. So we not only talk the talk, we walk the walk. I'll come with a few examples. In fact, we're sitting in one of the examples because the Salty Hotel was constructed with IFC financing in 1975. It was actually our first investment in this country. So we're all benefiting from it. We have a team of about 25 professionals in this country, most of them Nepalis, headed by our resident representative. He's just sitting there in front of me. We work in 4 big industries. One is the real sector, which is, of course, the backbone of any economy. And so that's hospitality and agribusiness. I already mentioned the Salty investment. Then, of course, and this has been the subject of many speeches today, infrastructure and energy. Nepal is a regional renewable powerhouse, and so we have been investing in that. Also, of course, in transportation, warehousing, things like that. We see big opportunities there. In fact, our hydro investments go back to 1990. Just one example was the Upper Botekoshi hydro plant in the 1990s. And more recently, in fact, we just met with the sponsors just last night, Upper Trishuli 1 with NWEDC and multiple financiers. In fact, another 8 organizations that are putting money here. So we work a lot on mobilization. And then, of course, last but not least, also significant risk financing from the World Bank Group through IDA and MIGA. So energy is certainly something we continue to invest in. A third, and very importantly, financial sector investments. I think Nepal has a proud history of making finance accessible to micro, small and medium enterprises, of which there are hundreds of thousands in this country. That's where the majority of jobs are in most economies. 85% of the jobs are in the MSME space. And of course, there are also many women entrepreneurs in that space, so we work especially on that. This year, for instance, we're very proud to have done a deal with Global IME Bank, the largest we ever did in our history in Nepal. We also work in trade finance and working with others, also with the Asian Development Bank on helping to develop the capital market. The fourth sector that we look at is what we call private equity funds. Nepal is a great potential playing field for private equity funds. And we're also looking, of course, at disruptive technology and IT. All this has been amply mentioned in the morning, so I'm not going to go into that. So we're here to invest. What are the biggest assets? What do I tell people who ask, why should I come to Nepal? Why should I invest in this country? And I think it was just mentioned with a lot of energy. The first thing is the people. They're great people here, very hardworking. And when I talk about great people, that brings me to another type of great person, and that is the great entrepreneurs that we find here. We have found over the decades wonderful entrepreneurs in this local economy that are putting their money at risk and that are helping to build Nepal for the future. And just during the coffee break, I bumped into at least 6 or 7 private sector clients, local Nepali sponsors, we call them sponsors, that are active in this market. The next reason to come to Nepal is the supportive policy environment that has been mentioned also by my colleague Faris just before. We see a lot of progress on that front. And so in general, I can say that governments and this current government have been welcoming private sector development. And again, I want to point out that the financial sector reforms that have been carried out over the last few years have actually been path-breaking, and we consider them an example for many other countries in the region. Last but not least, why come here? Because there are exciting opportunities in both traditional industries and emerging sectors. What will we bring to the table? What we will do as IFC? We will put even more people and expertise on the ground. We now cover all industries except one from our office here in Kathmandu. We're currently negotiating with our colleagues from the World Bank and from the Asian Development Bank our plan for the next 5 years, and we intend to put at least $1 billion in investments into this country during that time. And we will, of course, work with the World Bank Group and other partners that are interested in working with us. What are we asking for from policymakers and government? Let me start with government. So government, dear government, and especially dear Honorable Finance Minister, please keep working and implementing on the reform agenda. We're on a very good path. There's many things that we need to finish so that the private sector will really benefit from it. Let's build, and this came up before, an environment of trust and predictability. There is a lot of psychology involved when you want to bring private and sector investors into your economy, or when you want your own local investors to stay in the country. And so psychology is important, and that's why predictability is so important. We're very happy to work with a government that is aware of this and that has been taking strong steps. And we just met just a week ago in Washington to go over some of the examples of that. To the private sector, what we're asking for is, please don't be shy. Come and talk to us. We're here to work with you. For local investors, we invite you to come and share your projects, because that's, at the end of the day, that's where the juice is. Your projects, your ideas on how to grow your own business and how to build the future for this country. And for the foreign investors, please come to us, seek our help. We'll help to guide you. Thank you so much. And we're looking forward to continuing to work with Nepal over the next 50 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin, for your remarks, and gratitude to IFC for being a key partner in promoting private sector development and investments in Nepal. I am now pleased to extend a warm invitation to Mr. Tidien Kinda, IMF Mission Chief for Nepal, for his perspectives on Nepal's economic outlook and the potential for investment.
So this time around, we'll turn the neck on this side. So good afternoon, namaste, Honorable Finance Minister and Honorable former Finance Minister. So it's a great pleasure for me to be here, coming from Washington, D.C. I should start by saying that the IMF, or International Monetary Fund, has had a very close collaboration with Nepal. And as a testimony of that, we have an office here in Nepal headed by Teresa Sanchez right here. So maybe what I will do today is to really emphasize how the IMF has been working together with Nepal with a focus on one area, which is the macroeconomic environment, which is our specialty at the IMF. And as all investors will know, having macroeconomic stability is key and is essential in order to have prosperous investment. And in that aspect, I think I will start by highlighting key strengths that Nepal economy has. And one of them, which has been mentioned in the morning in terms of having a strong macroeconomic framework, which Nepal has, is a moderate public debt. So if you look at the level of public debt in Nepal in relation to the country gross domestic product, it is around 50% of GDP. So what we see as moderate, and is also associated in our economic analysis with a low risk of debt distress, which is a very strong position to be in. So first, I will say moderate public debt. And the second macroeconomic strength that we see is the really strong external sector. And this is an area where we've been working together with the Nepali authorities in the last few years, and we're very pleased to see that Nepal is currently enjoying large but also rising foreign reserve, which is a very important strength because it provides stability, it provides insurance to the private sector incoming in Nepal. And as of now, based on our estimate, the level of international reserve in Nepal is beyond 9 months of import, which is relatively high and a very strong position again to start with. Of course, beyond these 2 points, Nepal has also other strengths. I think 1/3 that one can mention is in terms of growth. So if we look at our projection of the growth over the medium term for Nepal is 5%, but the 5% is what we call a baseline. The baseline means without or with the implementation of policies as we know it now. But if Nepal was to implement further and accelerate the implementation of policies that are currently in the plan, we could see even higher growth. And just to put it in perspective, so Nepal currently has an economy of about $40 billion. So with a growth rate of 7%, it means that that growth, that economic size will double in 10 years, so which is really big. So it means that the economy can go from 40 billion to about 80 billion in 10 years with the implementation of policies. So that brings me to the challenges and the opportunities that we identified together with the government, and how implementing important policies and accelerating the pace of reform can really unlock the huge potential that Nepal has. And we've been working closely with the government in that aspect. So the International Monetary Fund has an extended credit facility with Nepal, which is worth about $400 million. And we've been working closely with authorities in that, and few reform in that aspect. For instance, as of now, we do see that growth, of course, as I said, has a high potential, but currently is below potential. And one area where we see enormous potential is really on the acceleration of public investment, because that will give a boost to domestic demand and further impulse to growth. And in that aspect, we've been working together with the government to approve a public investment management action plan, and that's being led by the National Planning Commission. And implementing that will help facilitate the execution of capital spending, which could give a further emphasis to growth. Another area on which we've been working closely with the government is to increase and strengthen domestic revenue mobilization. And of course, it's important to have investors coming into Nepal, and it's critical. Also, the government having higher revenue will allow the government to invest directly in capital spending in order to further attract private investors. One area that was mentioned in the morning is the financial sector, where there are some vulnerabilities. And I can say to the investor here that this is an area where we work very, very closely with the government. And indeed, led by the Nepal Rashtra Bank, there is some analysis that is being prepared in order to assess vulnerability in the banking sector and to take very swift measures. So this is an area where we're working very closely, and overall we do see also some strength in the banking sector despite these challenges. And last but not least, we are also working very closely with the government in order to implement a number of reforms to further strengthen governance, because we also believe that that is an important area in order to attract investment. As a testimony of that, of our very close relationship with the government working together, we even have another window that we are making available to Nepal, which is called the Resilience and Sustainability Trust, and through which Nepal can raise up to $300 million US from the IMF, from the International Monetary Fund, and that's essentially directed to longer-term financing, for instance, those related to climate finance. So in a nutshell, we've been collaborating very, very, very closely with Nepal authorities, and we definitely see Nepal having a great potential for investment, and the only thing that we want to do is to work together to unlock that great potential. So we wish the authorities of Nepal great success in the investment summit, and we very much look forward to continuing our close collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tadian, for highlighting the key strength that Nepal possesses. I'm now honored to extend a warm invitation to Mr. Ren Shiweng, Deputy Secretary General, Sichuan Province, People's Republic of China, for his remarks to illuminate potential avenues for partnership and cooperation.
尊敬的普根部长、女士们、先生们，非常高兴在美丽的季节来到尼泊尔出席投资峰会和领导人论坛，十分感谢组委会的邀请和接待。 正如上午罗兆辉署长所讲，中尼是山水相连的好邻居，守望相助的好朋友。2019年4月，习近平主席对尼泊尔进行了国事访问，揭开了中尼关系新篇章，也为四川与尼泊尔各领域互利合作注入了强劲动力。在中尼两国领导人的恢宏擘画下，四川也与尼泊尔像走亲戚一样，围绕“一带一路”合作建立了跨越喜马拉雅山的深厚情谊。去年5月，四川省委书记王晓辉率代表团来到尼泊尔，开展了川气走尼泊尔系列友好交流活动，推动了一批合作项目建设落地。川流合作领域不断拓展，特别是四川国有企业持续加大在尼项目投资，在能源装备领域，川投集团投资了12亿美元，开发了马兰马象的梯级水电站项目。东电国际投资1400万美元，开展了上3件水电站机电设备设计、供货、安装调试项目。
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen.
在基础设施方面，中国华西四川机师参建了博克拉国际机场，正式移交并投入运行。川航集团开通了成都至加德满都的每日往返航班，这些日新月异的合作成果，都是专利友谊的生动写照。我相信，以此次投资峰会为契机，川流合作必将翻开崭新篇章。在投资峰会这一合作舞台，我诚挚向各位简要推荐中国四川。四川位于中国西南腹地，人口9100万，面积48.6万平方公里。四川发展前景广阔，国内资源丰富，是中国发展的重要区域。一是经济总量较大，二是战略地位重要，三是矿产资源富集，四是交通便捷，五是文旅资源独特。我来自四川国资委，这里我向嘉宾隆重介绍下四川国有企业。近年来，在四川成长起了一批航天、航空、装备制造、电子信息以及能源、建筑、文旅等领域的领军企业。这次随我一起来尼泊尔参加投资峰会的8户大型企业，个个都是我们的行业翘楚。东方电气集团是全球最大的能源装备制造企业集团之一。蜀道集团是2023年度排名389名的世界500强。川投集团是盈利能力排名领先的能源产业集团。能投集团是四川能源化工领军型企业。华西集团以上建在华西享誉建筑领域。商投集团外贸涵盖3000多个贸易品类，客户资源遍及160个国家和地区。川航集团连续7年获得中国最佳航空公司，2018川航368-633航班为基础时，创造了名震中外的奇迹。旅投集团是重要的文旅平台，酒店行业在我们中国西部第一。近年来，四川国资国企持续做强做优做大，海外投资能力持续增强，海外投资意愿更加浓厚。希望大家继续信任四川国企，选择四川企业。我们也将持续深化包括尼泊尔在内的世界各国交流合作，特别是与尼泊尔在能源、交通、建筑、文旅、商贸等领域深化合作，共商投资深化合作，共享时代机遇，共创美好未来。 谢谢大家。
I feel so honored and privileged to be given a chance to address a guest speaker in the 3rd Nepal Investment Summit 2024 and Leaders Forum, along with investors, policymakers, and financial institutions from across the globe. China and Nepal are neighboring nations linked by the shared geography of mountains and rivers. We are not only good friends who stand united in times of need, but also strong partners committed to mutual development. In October 2019, President Xi Jinping paid a state visit to Nepal, during which the leaders of both countries jointly announced the elevation of China-Nepal relations to a strategic partnership aimed at fostering long-term friendship and promoting development and prosperity. In May 2023, Mr. Wang Xiaohui, the party secretary of the Communist Party Committee of Sichuan Province, led a delegation from Sichuan to Nepal for a series of friendly exchange activities called Sichuan Enterprises Entering into Nepal, which facilitated the implementation and maturity of several cooperative policies. Shortly thereafter, Your Excellency Deputy Prime Minister Mr. Narayan Kaji Shrestha led a delegation to Chengdu to participate in the 19th China Western International Exposition, and recently his visit to Chengdu in 31st of March 2024 held a cordial meeting with His Excellency Governor of Sichuan Province and extended a sincere invitation to Sichuan enterprises to join this investment summit in Nepal. Cooperation between Sichuan and Nepal continues to flourish with a steady improvement in the quality of collaboration, notably marked by a growing investment from Sichuan's state-owned enterprises in Nepal. In the energy sector, Sichuan Provincial Investment Group Company Limited is ready to invest $1.2 billion towards the construction and development of the Marsyangdi Cascade hydropower project, while Dongfang Electric International Corporation invested $14 million for Upper Hydroelectric Project, Lot 3, including design, manufacture, supply, erection, testing, and commission of electromechanical works. Similarly, in 2023, the regional GDP surged past 6 trillion yuan, accompanied by an impressive growth rate of 6%, thereby clinching the province's 5th position nationwide. Furthermore, its export and import volume soared to 1.00767 trillion yuan, securing on an 8th place ranking in the nation. Moreover, Sichuan's strategic significance is undeniable. Additionally, the province boasts an abundance of mineral and energy resources. Furthermore, Sichuan's transportation infrastructure is highly sophisticated, ranking first in the nation for total road mileage and featuring dual international hub airports. The province is exceptionally well connected. Lastly, Sichuan is a treasure trove of distinctive cultural and tourism riches. Embellished with the 5 UNESCO World Natural and Cultural Heritage Sites, such as the enigmatic Sanxingdui Ruins, the ethereal Jiutai Valley, and the beloved giant panda, Sichuan's allure river belts across the globe. We extend a heartfelt invitation to enterprises from every corner of the world to join us in investing and nurturing Sichuan's potential. Hereby, we extend a sincere invitation to enterprises from around the world to invest and thrive in Sichuan. Likewise, we warmly invite international travelers to come and enjoy the leisurely delights of Sichuan province. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ren, for your remarks. And it is now a pleasure to invite on the stage Dr. Rajiv Singh, Director General, Indian Chamber of Commerce, for his remarks in this plenary session of Nepal Investment Summit 2024.
I know we are all waiting for lunch, so I'll be very quick and brief. And let me also appreciate your patience to be with all the speakers. Nepal, India, I think in the morning you have heard, has a long, historic, and deep-rooted relationship. In terms of FDIs, cumulative FDIs, almost 1/3 as on date is from India. In terms of trade, India is the largest trading partner for Nepal. And you have also heard the investments, the commitments which have been there in the space of energy, hydro, AI, hospitality, hotels. So I represent the Indian Chamber of Commerce, which is almost will be completing 100 years this December. Indian Chamber has 11 offices all over India, and as ICC, we are deeply committed to furthering our relationship with Nepal. Let me also add here that in last 1 year, we have been in Kathmandu 4 times with over 120 companies, ranging from sectors like healthcare, education, energy, agro, food, Ayurveda, and so on. And our engagement and the engagement of Indian companies have been growing rapidly. In terms of sectors, I think repeatedly it has been mentioned. I would also like to compliment the Nepal government for undertaking the second round of reforms, and especially to ease out the regulatory challenges which normally the investors, the existing and the new ones talk about. So the recent announcement of easing out the regulatory issues, some reforms, is really important, and I'm sure government would also ensure implementation of those. Repatriating the profit, I think the process needs to be streamlined, which already has been mentioned by the government, and government stands committed to that. As ICC, we have had very good experience working with the Nepalese companies and also government and the chamber partners here. Land definitely is an important thing for any investor who comes here. Land ownership, we all know, is an area which needs some innovative solutions, because in Nepal, the foreign investors are not allowed to own land, but companies are finding solutions for this, and that is how you see the FDI is growing. But I am sure going ahead, we need to find even better ways of managing the issue. Also, in terms of ceiling on how much land a company can acquire, I'm sure government is looking on those things also. But having said all this, I would again compliment, and especially here, I would like to mention the former FM, Dr. Mahat, who made a very strong statement. He said, governments can come and go, but the reforms and the growth and the focus on investments will continue. So I would like to compliment you, because we have seen opposition playing a different kind of role, but this statement is a very, very constructive, very positive, and a very proactive statement which comes from you. And I'm sure the current finance minister is taking all the steps to ensure that the investors which come to the country are taken care, of course, within the regulatory framework. As ICC, we feel that Nepal should also focus on services, especially healthcare, education, banking, finance, and so on. And again, India has proven expertise, and ICC also has companies which has expertise in all these. So we'll be happy to support, partner with companies and also with the government. In terms of development, I think Nepal has very favorable treaties. A lot of investments are coming, but I think, speaking from Nepal's point of view, the jobs which local Nepalese can do should not be outsourced, and rather there should be focus on developing and building the capacity to skill people and to empower the youngsters so that they are able to take up high quality jobs. Sustainability is the need of the hour. I think Nepal should not, and I'm sure it is not, repeating the mistakes which many other countries have done of compromising development and the ecology. I think ecology is more important and sustainable development is the way. Again, India is having its own challenges, but there are enough success models. So we will be happy to again work with Nepal government on this. At the end, I would say that Indian Chamber of Commerce, through its network of 11 offices in India and also 14 global representative offices, is committed to work closely with Nepal in furthering the investments. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Singh, for sharing your positive testimonial of working in Nepal and suggestions as we move forward. I would now like to invite onto the stage Mr. Ashok Chaturvedi, Chairman and Managing Director of UFlex Group, to kindly share his remarks in the first plenary session where we're talking about exploring investment opportunities in Nepal.
I know everybody is very hungry, and thank you very much for inviting me. I'll talk only for 5 minutes allotted to me. And today, the need of the planet is what projects? Keep the planet clean, keep the planet green. And I'll only talk about these two issues only. So about keeping the planet clean, I will request the government over here that you are really responsible to keep it green first, Nepal. If you can collect all the garbages, there is technology available. I'm willing to share with any of the Nepalese entrepreneurs who are willing to take this project. We can give them, show them, guide them. They can come to India. And how to take further. If the garbage is being given to them, they can certainly do all sorting through AI process, no more manually, and everything can be reused or recycled. So one thing is, as the Nepal is going for a big leap for the growth, I strongly recommend this project to be taken up very strongly by the government and also entrepreneurs of the Nepal. Second is how to keep it green. I've heard that Nepal has huge potential for the hydropower. And green nitrogen is the future. So we should go ahead and move green nitrogen project, which will be saving a lot of energy for the Nepal, as Nepal doesn't have any fossil fuel energy. They all import about this. So keeping green energy, green hydrogen will be a great project over here to do in Nepal. I request all the entrepreneurs from Nepal, I invite them. I am also being the YPO member also, that come and visit India, visit Flex, and both these technology we can help you and guide you. We are also looking that because of super hydropower over here, we can, together with the local entrepreneur, set up the lithium-ion battery plant, which is also a big energy requirement based on green power. Once again, thank you very much for inviting me, and I invite all of you back to India. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chaturvedi, for acknowledging the opportunities that Nepal has and for the warm welcome in also exploring opportunities to work together. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to invite onto the stage Mr. Umesh Prasad Singh, President, Federation of Nepal Cottage and Small Industries, for his remarks in this August gathering.
No need. थियो त अब त्यसै भनिदिनु भइहाल्छ स्लाइड छ उसको हाम्रो थियो त्यसमा दिएको छ देखाउनु त लाउनु त
Sorry. Honorable Finance Minister, Honorable former Finance Minister, Honorable Parliamentary Member, and a special guest, a Speaker, and dignitaries. Welcome everyone. Today we embark on journey to explore the vibrant landscape of the small and medium enterprises SME in Nepal. Nepal's economy is evolving and SME are at the heart of this transformation. This presentation aims to shed light on the promising investment opportunity with this sector. Overview of the Nepalese SME sector. Based of the legal provision in Nepal, SME are the characterized with the small industry is the investment up to the 150 million in equivalent to US dollar. 10 lakhs 5,600 approximately. Medium industries investment of the up to 500 million equivalent of the 500 $500. The cottage and small industry and medium level industry sector in Nepal accounts for the 90% of the total industrial investment share of the 90% of the total industry investment share of the about 80% in the industrial export contribute of the 80% in the employment generation by industrial sector. Currently, the industrial sectors contribute about the 5.65% in national GDP, and the SME has the contribute 93% in the industrial sectors. Market analysis of SME sectors. Demographic and the economic trade and aspecting in the market, key sector driving the SME growth: tourism, agriculture, technology, renewable energy, complementary landscape, and the potential niches for the investment. Scope of the SMEs in Nepal. Agriculture in agro processing, manufacture, servicing, hydropower, also agricultural area of the investment, agricultural cluster farming, large and scale farming, through and the pool, agriculture, processing and marketing, non-timber forest, natural fiber, charcoal, herbal and aromatic medicine and cosmetic, textile and garments, product and handmade, and herbal products, organic tea processing, honey processing, milk product, hospitality and the tourism, travel, hotel and resort,
information technology, software and e-commerce, education, upper secondary and graduate school, hospital and etc. Financing option in Nepal. Overview the financing option available in the SME in Nepal. Commercial bank, angel investment, venture capital, microfinance and the other alternative financing mode, opportunity for the collaboration between investor, financial institute and the government agency. Comparative advantage, ability of the required human resource, ability of the potential supply and change for the raw materials, ability for the required and land resource, prospective domestic market, comparative international market, marketing potential, and thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Mr. Singh, for shedding light on the various opportunities for investment in SME sector of Nepal. I would now like to request Ms. Shobha Gewali, President of FWIN, to kindly take the stage for her remarks as well. Ms. Gewali, we'd like to request you for your remarks.
Esteemed Session Chair, the Honorable Finance Minister Barshaman Punju, respected distinguished speaker, esteemed participant, distinguished international investor, ladies and gentlemen, and media friends. I extend my sincere gratitude on behalf of Federation of Women Entrepreneur Association of Nepal and my personal side to the organizer for inviting me to share my observation today at this distinguished gathering. It fills me with immense pleasure to be amongst you all, embracing this invaluable opportunity to not just share insight but also observe the wisdom and experience to fellow speakers as we collectively navigate through the landscape of investment, climate, and opportunity in our beloved nation, Nepal. As steward of the progress and champion of the empowerment, the Federation of Women Entrepreneur Association of Nepal, FWIN, stands tall, tireless, fostering the growth of women-led enterprise, not just within our border, but resonating a global scale. Our journey is not without its challenges. The investability of the countless women-led business in formal economy remains a stark reality, using us to tear down barriers, to eliminate every corner with the brilliance of their endeavors. Amidst the existing risks of the climate crisis, the global focus on renewable energy presents significant opportunity for Nepal, particularly in hydroelectricity and solar technology. In the face of adversity, we find opportunity. The looming specter, the climate crisis, beckons us toward the renewable energy, which is a promising sector for Nepal's development, given its abundance of natural resources. Dear respected guests, as I venture into the heart of a region like Jumla, I witnessed firsthand the transformative of power micro hydro project, breathing life into the remotest corner of our nation, providing concrete evidence the potential the renewable energy project in Nepal. Our soil is rich, our biodiversity abundant. In the lush greenery and fragrant blossom, we find the essence of our heritage, the promise of our future. Herbal product beckons us toward a realm of endless possibilities. Considering our rich biodiversity and fertile soil, The digital frontier opened door to emerge into information technology and e-commerce that present multiple opportunities, harnessing the talent of our youth to offer internationally competitive outsourcing service. Nepal's landscape, both natural and economic, present a canvas of opportunity across various sectors, notably in renewable energy, tourism, agriculture, herbal product, food, textile, and digital technology and e-commerce. Investing in this sector is crucial for leveraging the country's resources and talent for economic development. We need to emphasize on collaboration between the public and private sector alongside the support of international investors will drive innovation, create jobs, and propel Nepal towards sustainable development. Distinguished guests, today, as we convene to deliberate, I stand before you with unwavering belief that Nepal's supportive stance towards foreign direct investment, coupled with its favorable demographic and technological adoption, presents a myriad of business and investment opportunities. From renewable energy to digital technology, from herbal product to e-commerce, Nepal stands ready to embrace collaboration and innovation. Again, Nepal stands ready to embrace collaboration and innovation. Once more, I extend my deepest gratitude on behalf of Federation of Women Entrepreneur Association of Nepal, FWIN, and my personal side to the government of Nepal for hosting this momentous occasion, a beacon of hope in our journey towards the social and economic transformation of our beloved nation, Nepal. Thank you all to listening patiently. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gewali, for your optimistic remarks and encouraging remarks for investing in Nepal. It is now, ladies and gentlemen, with great pleasure and honor to invite the session chair, Honorable Barshaman Bun, Minister of Finance, Government of Nepal, for his concluding remarks of the first plenary session.
Distinguished presenters and speakers, ladies and gentlemen, I extend my sincere thanks to all the presenters and speakers for your valuable remarks on the topic exploring investment opportunities in Nepal. Nepal is strategically located between two large and growing economies, China and India. I believe that this present a great opportunity for foreign and domestic investment in Nepal. Nepal also possesses natural resources that have significant commercial potential, such as high peaks, biodiversity, and water resources. Nepal has been working to improve the country's business climate through legal and regulatory reform and procedural simplifications. The recent amendment to 9 different laws in consultation with private sector is a testimony of our strong commitment towards reforms. We have also had a dispute settlement mechanism as per the convention and law. Nepal's key drivers of the economic growth are energy, tourism, IT, agriculture, and infrastructure development, among other sectors. Nepal has a huge potential of hydropower electricity generation, which could be a major source of income through clean electricity exports to neighboring countries. We are keen to contribute to the supply of renewable and clean energy to reduce carbon emissions as per the global shared commitment. The government's annual budget is released at the end of May every year, through which the government announces some policies and programs in different sectors, including foreign investment. In addition, we are making the taxation laws more investment-friendly. The Foreign Investment and Technology Transfer Act, FITA, has streamlined the process for inbound foreign investment by requiring approval of the FDI within 7 days of application. We have also started an automatic route of approval in the IT investment. Similarly, FITA has also eased out the process of profit repatriation approval, mandating decisions within 15 days. The FITA also has a provision of a single window service center through which foreign investors can have and access the full range of services provided by various government entities. It also includes a provision requiring the government to set a minimum threshold for foreign investment. The law adopts a national treatment principle for all investors. It also guarantees that no foreign company will be nationalized for any reason. The Industrial Enterprise Act emphasizes the promotion of industrial growth in the private sector. It includes a no work, no pay provision. The government has also submitted a new customs bill to the parliament, which is in line with the principles and practices of the World Customs Organization and the World Trade Organization. The IBN, a high-level government body chaired by the Right Honorable Prime Minister, was formed in 2011 to promote foreign and domestic investment for economic development in Nepal. In addition to approving large-scale investment projects, it also deals with managing public-private partnership projects in the country. Nepal has bilateral investment agreements and double taxation avoidance agreements, DTAA, with some countries. Recently, the government approved a model framework of bilateral investment agreement, BIA. I would like to reiterate Nepal's strong commitment to having more such agreements with other countries. Nepal's tax regime is compatible with international standards, and we are closely and regularly reviewing and updating our tax laws and procedures in the context of the changes. Nepal has a firm stand in regional and sub-regional forums regarding regional integration of economies in the region as a member of WTO, and 2 regional agreements, the South Asian Free Trade Area, SAFTA, and the Way of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, BMSTEC. Nepal has a genuine commitment to implement these agreements. Foreign investors in Nepal have been making good profits and expanding their businesses significantly. Multinational companies are among the large taxpayers in Nepal, which reflects the ample opportunity to invest in Nepal. On behalf of the government of Nepal, I recommend that all investors grab this opportunity in Nepal. The government will pay full attention to protecting investment and doing its best to create an enabling environment. Once again, I sincerely thank the presenter and speakers for your insightful remarks and encouraging deliberations during the session. With this, I hereby conclude the session. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much to our session chair, Honorable Minister, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen. As we come towards the end of this enlightening session, I can't help but notice the unwavering support from every single one of you, despite the rumbling of our stomachs indicating that lunchtime is passed by. Thank you for being with us in this first plenary session. May I please now invite the CEO of Nepal Investment Board, Mr. Sushil Bhatta, to kindly join us onto the stage to present this token of appreciation to our session chair, Honorable Minister. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for gracing us with your presence and for chairing this very, very important first plenary session at the Nepal Investment Summit. And may I please now request our session chair to kindly hand over these token of appreciation to our presenter, Mr. Rameshwar Khanal, former Secretary, Government of Nepal. We'd like to request Rameshwar sir to kindly step forward to accept this token of appreciation. We'd also like to thank Honorable Dr. Prakash Charan Mahad, former Finance Minister and Member of Parliament, for being a speaker in our session and shedding light on important investment opportunities in Nepal. Gratitude to Honorable Dr. Swarnim Wagle, Member of Parliament, for being a speaker in the first plenary session exploring investment opportunities in Nepal. I know, ladies and gentlemen, we're all hungry, but I think a big thundering round of applause is sure to energize all of us. Thank you to Dr. Yuvraj Khatiwada, former Finance Minister, for being a part of this plenary session and sharing his insights on the various exciting investment opportunities in Nepal. We'd also like to request Mr. Kang, HM Trade Commissioner for South Asia and British Deputy High Commissioner for Western India, UK, to kindly accept this token of appreciation from the entire team of Nepal Investment Summit 2024. We'd also like to request Her Excellency Hannah Singh Hamdi, UN Resident Coordinator in Nepal, to kindly step forward and accept this token of appreciation for her powerful and energizing remarks in the Nepal Investment Summit 2024. Mr. Faris had already left because of some very crucial meetings. So we'd like to invite Mr. Martin Holtman, Country Manager, Bangladesh, Bhutan and Nepal IFC, to kindly accept this token of appreciation. We'd also like to request Mr. Tidian Kinda, IMF Mission Chief for Nepal, to kindly step forward and accept this token of appreciation as a speaker for the first plenary session exploring investment opportunities in Nepal. May I also please request Mr. Ren Singwen, Deputy Secretary General, Sichuan Province, People's Republic of China, to graciously accept this token of appreciation for being a speaker today. Can I also please request Dr. Rajiv Singh, Director General, Indian Chamber of Commerce, to kindly step forward and accept this token of appreciation. And thank you very much, Dr. Singh, for highlighting some key aspects of the potential opportunities for investment in Nepal. May I also please request Mr. Ashok Chaturvedi, Chairman and Managing Director of UFlex Group, to kindly step forward and accept this token of appreciation. And thank you very much, Mr. Chaturvedi, for graciously opening up opportunities for other entrepreneurs in Nepal and requesting them for a visit to India as well. May I also please request Mr. Umesh Prasad Singh, President of the Federation of Nepal Cottage and Small Industries, to kindly step forward and accept this token of appreciation for being a speaker and highlighting the various investment opportunities here at SMEs in Nepal. And may I please also request Ms. Shobha Giwali, President of FWEEN, to kindly come forward to accept this token of appreciation. And thank you very much, Ms. Giwali, for highlighting some incredible work that women entrepreneurs have been doing in the country as well. Thank you very much. Thank you, distinguished guests. We'd like to take a group photograph of all our distinguished presenter and speakers here at the first plenary session of Nepal Investment Summit. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Your dedication to exploring investment opportunities in Nepal shines through, and it is clear that our shared commitment also knows no bounds. Even, I think, the hunger pangs can be set aside when we talk about investing in Nepal. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being such a fabulous audience for the first plenary session. We would now like to announce that we'll have a short 20 minutes break, just so that we can get our stage set for the second plenary session. And we definitely hope to see more smiling faces as we start the second plenary session in the next 20 minutes. Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.